Resident Evil Requiem has been out since February. You've beaten it, you watched Grace Ashcroft follow her mother's trail back to Raccoon City, uncover the ARK Facility, and learn the truth about Project Elpis. And now you're sitting there thinking, I still don't fully understand what happened to Alyssa. Good. Because Capcom buried the real story across 3 different games, and most people missed it entirely. But before we even get to Grace, you first have to understand the woman who started all of this. Because Alyssa Ashcroft wasn't just Grace's dead mother. She was one of the few civilians who crawled out of Raccoon City and kept on fighting. She first appeared in Outbreak as a journalist for the Raccoon Press. Persistent, sharp, could pick a lock faster than most people can find their keys. But here's what made her dangerous in a way that STARS and the BSAA could never be. She was a civilian witness. No training, no backup, just a notebook and a refusal to look away. Leon survives with combat skill. Alyssa survived with observation, lockpicks, and a mind that wouldn't stop connecting dots. She lived through the city, so she didn't just report on it from the outside. She could line up what Umbrella claimed, what the government covered up, and what survivors actually experienced. Her exposés helped destroy Umbrella's public image. Not single-handedly, but she represented the kind of witness they couldn't control. Alyssa didn't survive Raccoon City just to escape it. She survived long enough to become a problem for everyone who wanted that city erased. And that brings us to the Wrenwood Hotel. Grace is assigned to investigate a crime scene at the exact place where she watched her mother die just 8 years earlier. That is not a coincidence. It's a memory prison someone built specifically for her. A location chosen because Alyssa's past still echoes there, and because someone wanted Grace to walk right into the middle of it. By the time Alyssa walked into that hotel, she was already chasing something far bigger than a single crime. She was following a chain of buried evidence: Raccoon City survivor records, government cleanup operations, Umbrella's post-collapse assets, Spencer's final work, the true purpose of Elpis, and why certain survivors mattered biologically. She wasn't just investigating, she was connecting the dots that everyone else scattered. This is where Victor Gideon enters the picture. He's a mirror of Alyssa, but twisted. Where she investigates to expose and understand, he investigates to possess and control. He's convinced Grace is the key to unlocking Spencer's final project. To him, Elpis is a superweapon, but Alyssa's investigation was pointing somewhere else entirely. She was finding evidence that the most feared project in the series might not be a weapon at all. Elpis wasn't designed to create monsters. It was designed to undo them. And Alyssa didn't die because she found another Umbrella weapon. She died because she found proof that the cure had been sitting there all along, and the people chasing it were too corrupted to recognize hope when they saw it. But now we get to the part that changes everything. Grace isn't pulled into this story by accident. Her body is connected to the truth that her mother uncovered, and that is where the biology becomes horror. After Raccoon City, survivors weren't just people anymore. To Umbrella, to the government, to every bioterror group paying attention, they were test subjects, evidence carriers, immune response data. Their bodies could show how the T-virus spread, why some people resisted longer, how exposure changed cells, and whatever viral damage could be reversed. If you're trying to build a cure, you need a baseline, a reference point for what stable looks like after exposure. And Alyssa, she was one of those rare, stable survivors. But here's where Daylight comes in, and this is crucial. Daylight was a trial antiviral developed at Raccoon University during the outbreak. Made from P-base, V-poison, and T-blood, it functioned as a suppressant. It proved something monumental. Umbrella's viral damage wasn't unstoppable. It could be resisted, it could be suppressed, and maybe, even under the right conditions, it could be reversed. Alyssa had direct Raccoon City exposure, survival data, possible daylight-related records, and a long-term biological response that researchers could compare against others. She wasn't just a journalist, she was a biological record. And the thing people overlook is that daylight wasn't just some random campus experiment. It was built from the very blood of those already fighting the infection. T-blood, drawn from people whose immune systems were actively battling the T-virus, was a foundational component. If you survived long enough for your body to mount a defense, your blood became medicine. That is what daylight was. So Alyssa's survival through the entire Raccoon City nightmare wasn't just luck. It was evidence that her body had the right kind of exposure, the kind that could be studied, the kind that might unlock a permanent solution. She was walking around with the cure in her veins and didn't even know it. And Grace inherited that record. Grace thinks she's investigating her mother's murder, a simple hotel crime scene. But the villains are interested in her blood, her inherited biology, her connection to Alyssa, her ability to unlock Elpis. The blood draw at Rhodes Hill is where it all turns from paperwork into body horror. She's treated like a patient, not a person. The needle becomes a symbol, and her blood gives Gideon the answer he's been chasing for years. Grace isn't the key because she solved the mystery. She's the key because the mystery was written into her blood before she ever opened the case. And look, there is a term for all this in the world of Resident Evil, something I've started calling biological debt. It's what happens when the consequences of one outbreak get passed straight into the next generation. Sherry inherited the drama of Birkin's work, Rose inherited the mold, Jake inherited Wesker's blood, and Grace inherited Alyssa's survivor biology, the very antibodies and cellular memory that made her mother such a threat. She didn't sign up for this, as she was born into a debt that someone else was always going to come collecting on.
I've been waiting for you, Grace.
And that is when we finally go to the ARK, the thing buried under the city, the place that turns all of this from theory into nightmare. The ARK isn't just another lab, it's Umbrella's tomb, a vault sitting beneath a mass grave. An ARK usually means preservation, carrying life through catastrophe. The name itself is a sick joke. Umbrella built endless death, but its final secret was a project designed to preserve life. That is where Grace finds Alyssa's disc. And I need you to understand, this isn't just some big lore dump. This is the emotional center of the entire game. It's her mother's voice. After years of trauma, after the blood draws, after walking into the hotel where she watched her mother die, Grace hears Alyssa speaking to her from beyond the grave. The disc is Alyssa's final testimony, a mother protecting her daughter after death. Proof that Alyssa knew she might not survive. And on that disc, one question rises above everything else. What does the creator desire? The creator is Spencer, a man who spent his life making monsters, viruses, and systems of control. But near the end, what did he actually want? Immortality? Godhood? Or was there a sliver of something else? Forgiveness, maybe. A correction. Because that is what Elpis actually is. To Gideon, it's power. To Zeno and the connections, it's an asset. But to Alyssa, it was a cure, a way to neutralize viral-based weapons, and according to everything we know, she was right. Elpis is ultimately used to cure infected characters, not empower them. Leon himself becomes proof of concept. Decades of fighting bioterror, possibly suffering from lingering viral damage, and Elpis cures him. It could cure survivors, long-term victims, people like Sherry. Elpis was treated like the final weapon of Umbrella. But the real horror is that the cure existed all along. So now we circle back to the very beginning. Why did Alyssa have to die? It wasn't because she knew the secret, or because she could prove it. I mean, a lot of people in Resident Evil know secrets. But Alyssa had 3 things at once. She survived Raccoon City, she had the evidence, and she carried the biology that connected to the solution. A soldier can be dismissed, a journalist can be discredited, a survivor can be silenced. But a survivor journalist with biological proof of a cure? That person has to disappear. Grace isn't just her daughter, she's Alyssa's unfinished investigation. Alyssa started the story with files, Grace finished it with blood, memory, and proof. 28 years of Raccoon City history finally coming full circle. And the title, Requiem, it's not just a song for the dead. It's a promise that the dead will not stay buried with the secrets that killed them. But hey, that's just what I've been able to piece together from the fragments we've been given. So I'm curious to know what you think. Do you believe Spencer truly wanted redemption, or was Elpis just another form of control? Was Alyssa murdered because of what she knew, or because of what Grace inherited? And should Capcom bring back more Outbreak survivors after this? Be sure to drop a comment down below. I'll be reading all of them. And if you want more deep dives just like this, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.